Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Wednesday. Happy second day at JNUC. My name is Rose Dara. I'm going to be your host for this session. We are at the No GSX, No Problem, Warranties and Refresh Cycles session. So hopefully this is where y'all want to be because we're hanging in here together for the next 45 minutes. I am just going to give you a quick reminder for asking questions. This year we're doing all questions through the JNUC app for those attending here in person in Austin, and I will help moderate those at the end of the session during the Q&A section. And with that, I will hand it over to Glenn.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming to No GSX, No Problem. I made it up the stairs safely, so I'm already starting off good, I hope. It's also come to my attention that I am the first, or I should say one of the last sessions before the Jamf party. So we're going to try to make sure we go through everything like smooth sailing here. You guys are going to laugh at all my jokes, and we're all going to have fun, all right? So to introduce myself, my name is Glenn Eulendorf, and I am an IT support administrator at Consortium Networks. I am also a member of this program called the Jamf Heroes. You can see there's a fancy little, let's see if my laser pointer works, kinda, right over there. That's the Jamf Heroes logo, and I have a little add-on on my name badge here. And Jamf Heroes, for those of you who don't know, is a program within the Jamf community that allows other Jamf admins to kind of work together and use each other as a resource. It's kind of like a network within a network. My company, Consortium Networks, or I should say the company I work at, Consortium Networks, is fully remote. So my coworkers, when it comes to Mac support that I see on a daily basis, is me, myself, and I. So it's great to be able to have a resource like Jamf Heroes that I can be a part of, because it's a lot of people that are using the same software that we use every single day as Jamf admins. And even though they might be in different industries, they go through a lot of the same problems and the same challenges that we face as Jamf admins. So it's just another community that you might want to look into. If you haven't heard of it before, it's free to join. And they have a booth over at the Expo Hall. So I know it's hard to try to find time to make it to the Expo Hall, but if you can do it, the Jamf Heroes booth is a great place to go and check out. So before we get started here, we're going to go through, I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview of what we're going to go through. We're going to set some expectations. I'm going to give you an introduction and background to myself, because I feel like my story kind of sets the stage for how I ended up with this problem with GSX, and also with this somewhat solution with GSX. Then we're going to talk about the stumbling blocks that I faced, because of course, no project is without stumbling blocks. And then lastly, I will show you the solution that I have in place currently within my instance. And then we will wrap it up, and it'll be great, hopefully. So to set some expectations. So this is the best Batman, by the way. I just wanted to throw that out there. This presentation is not a one-size-fits-all for everybody. This is going to be my experience and my solution. So I'm going to be hopefully presenting it to you, and hopefully you can steal bits and pieces of it to find what will work for you. So I want you to try to keep an open mind as I show you and tell you about my story and what I encountered and how I was able to partially overcome it. It is meant for a smaller instance. So just out of curiosity, and I mean for those at home, I guess you can play along too, how many people have an instance of less than 500 machines by a show of hands? Less than 250? Still a couple, yeah. Less than 100? Nobody. Okay, just me then. Oh, yes. All right. So it is going to be a little different depending on the scale of your instance and how many machines you have. It's not going to be a full game plan. There is going to be some setup that you'll need to do, but I am going to show you kind of the overall overview of what I did, so you can definitely follow along, and you'll of course have access to the slides after, so you can go through and check out and kind of see what did Glenn do here, why, and you can go and check it out. And then of course there is, like I said, reality, because this might not be exactly what you're expecting. Thank you. See, laugh at all the jokes. Good job. This might not be exactly what you're expecting, but I promise you there's something in here that, or at least I hope that there's something in here that you can steal out of it and make work for you. So steal what works is the theme of this presentation. All right, so now it's story time. And this is important because I want to kind of tell you about my journey with Apple, and that will kind of hopefully kind of set the stage for how I wound up in the situation that I found myself in. So I originally started working at Apple. I was a quote-unquote genius at the Apple store in the very small store of Sagemore, which is in Marlton, New Jersey, a little far away. I worked as a genius for about 3 years, and of course, I'm sure we're all familiar with the Genius Bar. They are the front line of support when it comes to retail. It's where you go when your iPhone is not wet, and also if you have like other things that you need to solve, usually like iCloud problems. And then also, I transitioned into being what we call a genius administrator, and which is probably not as well known. Of course, I'm sure I'm not the only like ex-Apple person, but genius admins basically go through and they handle all the processing of all the paperwork. They make sure all the repairs are in order, that all the right parts are selected. They get to deliver the bad news in the event that something is going to cost money, and they also get to deliver the good news sometimes when things are covered under warranty. And they work with a lot of different systems, but one of those systems that they work with is GSX. See, no GSX, no problem. You're seeing how it kind of leads in. And then after working at Apple for about 4 years or so, I transitioned into K-12 education. And when I started to work at this private school outside Philadelphia, it was kind of my first experience with an MDM. They had Jamf Pro. And working at the Apple store, I'd never heard of like Jamf Pro before. I didn't really know what an MDM was or kind of like how it worked. So it was a great experience for me to be able to get hands-on support or hands-on like experience with Jamf Pro. And their instance was also integrated with GSX. We supported about 1,100 to 1,300 devices on a day-to-day basis, whether it be like iMacs, iPads, MacBook Pro, what have you, all across the line. And we were an Apple authorized service provider, so I kind of had like all the bells and whistles. I could order parts, I could send things to depot, I could do repairs. We had all the things. And after a good amount of time working in K through 12, I started to transition over to being an IT support administrator at Consortium Networks. And I went from having like day-to-day management of about 1,100 to 1,300 devices to 50 to 75. So it was definitely a big change in terms of what that looked like and what like my management challenges were, and also the tools that I had or didn't have at my disposal. At the time when I arrived at Consortium, we had Automox, which is another type of MDM, which is not Jamf Pro. So I started to consider, and we talked about the transition to Jamf Pro. And one of the big things that I wanted to do, and because of Jamf Pro, was to be able to utilize direct shipment and pre-stage enrollment, and of course, automated device enrollment. I wanted to be able to kind of cut down on manually touching every machine. Because when I first started at Consortium, with Automox, we had to manually set up each laptop, box it up, ship it out, and if somebody gets onboarded, you have about maybe about a day of turnaround. Not that the actual work on the computer is hard, but by the time you do that and you box it up and you take it to the store and then they mail it and then they pick it up and you hope it doesn't get caught in shipment or delayed or it doesn't get left on the doorstop. Like there's all types of different things. So I really just wanted a way to go directly to whoever was starting to work, and a big part of that was automated device enrollment with Jamf Pro. And of course, Jamf Pro is a Mac OS focused MDM. Automox was great because in some ways because it worked with a lot of things, but our fleet was mostly Apple products. So being able to use an MDM that is really Apple first was a big selling point for us. And then of course they also offer day one support for different operating systems. This was huge because then as soon as something is ready, I know that Jamf is going to be there to be able to support me and my users through Jamf Pro, which was awesome. And even though I had used Jamf Pro for about almost 7 years at my previous job, I didn't happen to have any of the certifications. So knowing that Jamf had these, knowing that Jamf had these available, that was great. And luckily, my employer found the value in having me go through all these. I was able to get the training pass, and I was able to get the certifications to prove that yes, I do in fact know somewhat, or to some extent, what I'm talking about. And then lastly, a big part for me, which I was excited about to be able to use in Jamf Pro, was GSX integration. I'm like, I'm going to be able to do all these things in Jamf Pro. We're going to be able to check the warranty status. We're going to be able to order parts. You don't do that in Jamf Pro, but you know what I mean. We're going to be able to use all the bells and whistles of GSX, and I was excited. And then, well, not yet. But why is the GSX such a big deal? GSX is huge. For those of you who don't know, it's the global service exchange. They use this both internally at Apple, and then also if you're an Apple authorized service provider. If you do Google images, you will find this. This is nothing secret. But through GSX, or the Global Service Exchange, you can get service manuals for pretty much any machine that is still in support, maybe even some that aren't. You can order parts. You can find out about different quality programs. Apple does a lot of, makes a lot of excellent products, but sometimes they have what they call open active captures, which are maybe you have a MacBook Pro that has a little bit of like a weird action to it when you press some keys. Does it fall within this model? Is it in the serial number range? If so, let us know and we can like file like a capture for it. Just a way to be aware of some of the things that are going on, which kind of leads me into service-related news. There's a whole news bulletin in there of different news items that are important to anybody who is servicing Apple products. You can also manage your repairs. If you have GSX access, you can go through, you can set up your depot. You don't have to call 1-800-APL-CARE. You don't have to worry about that anymore. You can just go in here, pop in your serial number, order your depot box. I have a stack of them in my closet at home, and you can just get that all taken care of. And of course, you can do warranty status, which is like the big part of this presentation. It sounds great, right? Like, sounds wonderful. But then I kind of remembered that in order to be able to use GSX with Jamf and to get GSX access in general, you have to have 1,000 device minimum. There's other requirements. There's, you have to do a certain number of repairs. There's a list. It's not that long, but there's a list that you can look up. And the big thing for me was 1,000 devices, because I was sitting at about 50 to like 75. So I'm a little shy of what's required in order to get that. So what can we do in Jamf without GSX? I mean, we can do a lot, but of the GSX things that we're talking about, what can we do? We're not going to be able to check out any service manuals. We're not going to be able to set up any type of repairs. We're not ordering any type of parts. We're not reading any of the service bulletins, but we can still do some warranty information. At least there's support for the warranty information. So that leads me to the question of how do I get this warranty information into Jamf? There's fields for it, so like, what can I do? And there's two choices. And that's either manual input, of course, or automation. And weighing the two of them right off the bat, because I tried to enter this problem with like the clearest mind that I could. Like, how can I tackle this? What are my choices? Do I do it manually? Do I look up every single serial number? Do I go into the inventory and type in the number there? Or is there some way I can automate this? So I started to go through and I'm like, I'm going to lean on automation as my option. I want to be able to find a way to use the powers of like technology and the internet to solve this problem for me. And I started to search, and I started to have some success of people who I saw who were in my situation, who were leveraging scripts in order to query Apple's website so that they could scrape that warranty information. And I thought, this is great. Let me start trying this out. I'm not the best when it comes to scripts, but I'm like, this is the project I've kind of been asking for, but kind of also was hoping that wouldn't come to me. Here it is. Let me try it and see how it goes. And then, of course, I forgot in my excitement that nope, that's not going to work anymore, because now when you go to be able to get warranty information at checkcoverage.apple.com, it requires that you complete a CAPTCHA. Not only do you have to complete the CAPTCHA, which I knew, but in my excitement I kind of just forgot, to be honest. Not only do you have to complete it, but you're limited to a certain amount of them, like per day, per IP, 5, thank you. Yeah, so you're limited to it. So you can't really, like, could you? Yes. Would you want to? No. So back to the drawing board, right? Like, I'm back and I'm looking at manual input versus automation. And I started to figure out, like, does it have to be one or the other? I really don't want it to be manual. And unfortunately, it can't be fully automation. And I don't meet the GSX requirements. So what if it was a little bit of a combination of manual and automation? What if I could kind of hopefully take like a little bit from each and maybe combine that into a good solution. I said we're going to take manual and automation and put them together. And one of the ways that we're going to do that, and one of the ways that I found that would work, would be the mass update tool. This is a tool that's available over on Jamf Marketplace. For those of you who might not know, Jamf Marketplace is a collection of different apps and services. They're not actually hosted. It's not like the App Store, but they're usually linked to their GitHub repositories. And you can go and you can check it out. But the mass update tool, or the MUT tool, it supports mass inventory updates. So if you have information that you want to add into different inventory, different item inventories, whether it be computers, whether it be iPads, Apple TVs, they have templates for all of those. And you can use this tool to populate a whole bunch of entries at once. So it cuts down on some of that manual work. You can use it to populate warranties, extension attributes. If it's a field that you can edit, it's something that you can edit within the mass update tool. It does require that you have a logon and that you give it a logon/user to your Jamf Pro server. There's instructions for it. You can check it out right down here. And you'll just make a user specifically for it, following its permission rules within Jamf Pro. And what it looks like, it's getting a little carried away there. What it looks like once you first open it is you're brought to this screen over here that shows you what the tool offers in terms of the templates. So you download your template, and down here at the bottom, you'll see right here, it'll show you what it'll look like. It just comes in a CSV, and there'll be serial number, display name, asset tag, barcode, and so on and so forth. It's a giant spreadsheet, and you can customize it as well with extension attributes. And if you end up using anything from this presentation, you will customize it with extension attributes. Over on the right-hand side is what it looks like once you have taken that CSV, added some information to it, and then are starting the upload. You'll notice it'll show you what is changing and what is going to be added into Jamf Pro, and then there's a button to submit updates. So this sounds good. We have a way in order to add a whole bunch of information into Jamf Pro. We can take that warranty information and we can get it in here. But, don't forget, we still don't have that warranty information yet. So we're back here at this website. And it's like, what are we going to do? Are we going to go through this, or are we going to find another option? So there is another option. I'm going to tell you about it, and we'll see kind of how it goes. Like I said, this is not quite a one-size-fits-all, but hopefully this works for you. Now, I, like many of you, partner with maybe your Apple local business store or your Apple local retail store. And one of the options that I chose was I emailed my business rep at the Apple Store, and I said, this is the struggle that I'm facing. I have about 70-ish machines or so, and I want to grab the warranty information. I use Apple Business Manager. I have the custom retail store where we make the purchases. I always order, what am I missing? Where can I go to get this? Is there any way? And my Apple Business rep said, if you give me a few days, I will get them for you. And I said, wonderful. So, I don't know what that is. So it took a few days, and he was able to provide me with the list of that warranty those warranty expiration dates. Now, I have worked at Apple. I don't know, it's been about 8 years or so since I've worked there, so I don't know what tools they're using to do this. They could be using GSX. They could just be copying and pasting those serial numbers in there, and I could have given someone a task that wasn't the most exciting. They also might have a way that they can go through and batch get them. But unfortunately, or I should Apple speak it and say, as it turns out, there's really only, the only really way for you to be able to get these if you don't have GSX is to either go through that website or to ask your business representative. So I chose to ask to figure out what solutions they had in place, and luckily somehow they were able to accommodate me. And that made me happy. Your mileage may vary, but that's what I did. So just to give you a little bit of a to-do list, you can email your Apple business team and you can explain to them what you're trying, what you're hoping to do. I don't know what tools they have in place to make this happen. I suspect it's GSX, but maybe times have changed. Like I said, it's been a decade since I've been there. Then we're going to enter that warranty information. Once you have it, you're going to enter it into the template, into that CSV. And then we're going to upload the template into Jamf and verify. And then after that, then you will have warranty information in Jamf Pro. And then you can start to do all the fun stuff. Now, I have, go back for a second and show you here. I put a little asterisk on this one part here that says enter warranty information into the template because I'm going to have you make an extension attribute. You are going to need one in order to make this function at the level that I feel like is really worth it so you can get the most out of it. So our extension attribute that I'm going to have you make, this is what I call viewing inventory and creating an extension attribute. Here we are in an inventory item for Jamf, a computer in this case, my computer. And here you notice we have warranty expiration that is in like an orangish ring, and then we also have AppleCare warranty expiration date in teal down there at the bottom. That's the extension attribute. And reason I'm having, or suggesting, strongly suggesting, that you make one is because if you want to be able to see, like refresh, to see whose computer is eligible, there are certain operators that do not work with that warranty expiration date. They just don't. But they will work with a warranty expiration date if it's an extension attribute. So by leveraging that, I'm able to use some operators later on in smart groups to be able to pull refresh dates. Also, what's interesting is I keep checking this because I keep thinking it's going to get updated maybe or changed. But if you look over at I'm in the purchasing column here and it says warranty expiration, that's like the default one, right? And when you put information in there, and in our case, we'd be using MUT to push all of this information in there at once. But when you put that in there, that needs to be 1 day after the actual warranty expiration. Why? Because if you put anything in there, it will actually alter the date automatically when you save. I don't know why, but as of this presentation, if you put any date in there or upload any date in there, if it's not off by 1, it's gonna change it. I think maybe that's to give you like a little bit of a cushion in the event that you're approaching your warranty expiration and Jamf will maybe show it to you that it's expiring a day earlier. I'm not sure. That's just a guess. Time zone. Yeah, there you go. That could be it too. See, those are the real answers. And now that we've got that information in Jamf Pro, now we can start to experiment with like smart and static groups. Now I have a static group. You may or may not have one. But this is my lone static group. If you're anything like, if your instance is like mine, or maybe just throughout your experience as being an Apple administrator, you might start to come across computers that for some reason don't have AppleCare. And you're like, I know we purchased them on all of them, but for some reason, these don't have it. So you do your due diligence, you follow up with Apple, and it turns out that they, in fact, don't have AppleCare. So I made a static group here, marking, I think, a couple machines. In my instance, it's really only a few of machines that do not have AppleCare. The reason I'm doing this, you'll see why once I get to some of my smart groups, is because I don't want these showing up due for refresh before it's time for them to be refreshed. We're on a 4-year refresh cycle, and I'll show you once we get to my somewhat fancy smart group, why I do this. But depending on what your instance is like, if all of your machines have AppleCare, you're not going to need to worry about it. So here are some very basic smart groups. Now that I've got that information into Jamf Pro, here are just a few of the real basic ones. My first one is just an in warranty up at the top there, where I'm saying, Jamf, show me computers who have a warranty expiration of more than 1 day. Basically, if you're in warranty, you've got warranty for still like at least one more day. So I'm saying, show me this. Then, on the flip side, I'm saying, Jamf, show me people who are not in that group, because anybody who still doesn't have at least 1 day left of warranty is someone who doesn't have any warranty at all. Or I guess potentially it could be on their last day. And then my last one here is warranty expires in less than 30 days. Jamf, show me everybody whose warranty is set to expire in less than 1 month. The reason I do this is because it gives me some lead time in order to follow up with these people and see if everything is actually working the way that it should be. Just to check in with them and say, like, you know what, Glenn, this laptop's going to be expiring soon. You should follow up with them just to make sure that they don't have any lingering issues that could get repaired in warranty before the warranty expires. And even though these are simple groups, but I still think they're just good to have, so you have the in and the out. But I really like the 30 days one because I have, in the smart groups, you can make an alert when a machine enters that smart group, and you can trigger it to email you. So that's what I do. I have it set so that it goes right to my help desk, and as soon as somebody hits that warranty is expiring in less than 30 days, I get notified. And then I can go through, and it's just a nice little, like, mark on my to-do list to follow up with them. So it just helps me make sure that everybody's stuff is up and running, hopefully to the best that it can be, and hopefully covered through warranty. And then I get to my fun one, and it's got all types of, it's very colorful. And this is my eligible for refresh smart group. And you know a smart group is going to be intense or not quite as fun when it's got the parentheses and stuff going on. But I'm using the very first thing off the bat there in the orange ring, if you take a peek at it, is AppleCare warranty expiration date. That is my extension attribute. And really all it is when the AppleCare warranty expires, but it's an extension attribute. And I'm saying, Jamf, show me everybody whose warranty is expiring in 365 days added on to that date. So my refresh cycle is 4 years. So I'm saying, show me everybody whose laptop is out of warranty a year past their Apple expiration date, which would be 4 years, because AppleCare is 3 years from date of purchase. Tack on another 365 days. Show me those people. But then I'm also saying, show me anybody who, don't show me anyone who is a member of the no AppleCare group, because anybody who is a member of that wouldn't quite have their machine for 4 years. I want 4 years total. Then I'm saying to Jamf, show me those, or show me people who are a member of no AppleCare, but their warranty has expired in 1,095 days, or 3 years from when their warranty expires. People who don't have AppleCare, 1 year warranty, plus 1,095 days gives me 4 years. So this is how I asked Jamf to show me everybody who has had a laptop for that long. And that's not really the best way to say it. I guess the best way to say it would be, show me computers that have been that have hit their 4 years from when their warranty has expired. So this is what my dashboard looks like. It's pretty clean and simple. I have an out of warranty, I have warranty expires in less than 30 days, and then I have eligible for refresh. And that allows me at a quick glance to be able to see who is ready, who is in, who is out, and then I can take action on those. And of course, I use the notifications that Jamf has for smart groups in order to like kind of ping me and say, Glenn, this person's eligible, reach out, start that process. So takeaways. There is some maintenance required with this, as you can probably tell. There are definitely some manual type labor that you'll have to do. And there's also, like when somebody leaves your organization, we reuse their laptop, I have to take them out of Jamf, we wipe the machine, and then I also have to make sure that once I do that, that I record that warranty expiration, or I have to go through and try to get it again. So there's definitely some manual input. It will happen. It may or may not be comfortably scalable depending on how big your instance is. You might look at this and say, like, that's a lot of manual work, and to some extent it is. But because of the size of my organization and my instance, for me it works really well at a time when I really didn't have any other choice. If I wanted to accomplish it, I had to try to find something that worked, and luckily I was able to kind of piece this together, and it does take some work. So if you see all of this, take whatever from this presentation that sounds good to you and steal it. Do whatever you can. Hopefully maybe it inspires you to think about it a different way. And that's probably a huge thing. Get an outside opinion. I am super guilty of, Apple used to call it template matching, but I'm super guilty of I'll attack a problem in a single way, and I'll hammer away at it, and I'll just be determined that I'm going to get it taken care of. And sometimes that's an awesome strength, but sometimes it can work against you, because especially when you get into the smart groups and you're trying to figure out how you're asking Jamf to show you something, it's great to have somebody else say, yeah, you could think about it this way, but what if you think about it another way? And then that might kind of open it up for you in order to understand it a little bit more. Thank you guys so much. That is it.
All right, we've got a couple of questions rolling in.
Uh-oh.
And you do have some fellow geniuses out here in the audience,
oh, awesome.
So you are in good company. Let's see here. Can you use some of the new technology that translates to a graphic to text to fully automate the CAPTCHA piece of the workflow?
That's a fancy question. We'll go with maybe. I'm not really sure. If you could, I'm sure it would probably be against, Apple wants you to complete those CAPTCHAs for a reason. So circumventing them is probably not the best idea.
We have a suggestion for folks with a large deployment. There's no harm in starting this process now. And to do this going forward for all new deployments, as old machines are refreshed, that missing data will eventually fall off.
Yeah, that's a great point. Like, I tend to think of this as like I want to accomplish all of this stuff right away. And even if you do have a whole bunch of manual input that you have to do, it's not something that has to happen immediately. You know, you can start the process of doing some of it and then come back to it. You know, it's not all something you have to do at once.
We have another person asking, how can I make an extension attribute for the AppleCare expiration check? Is a script needed?
Oh, no, not at all. The AppleCare expiration, it's nothing really fancy. It's just one of the fields for extension attributes is date. That's just the date in an extension attribute, and a way for you to be able to give Jamf that date information again, because the regular warranty expiration doesn't allow the type of operator that I use in my smart group, but for some reason an extension attribute does. So all I'm doing is, the only reason I'm making that is just so I can use that operator, that's all. There's no script you have to use for it.
Awesome. And how often do you refresh? Ones and twos or batches?
How often do I refresh? Oh, like how often do I change the information that's in there? We'll go with that. I have a good amount of devices. Well, I have some devices on hand, and then normally when somebody is onboarded, if I don't have a device that's ready for them, I'll order it when they get put in there, and then luckily it gets shipped right through automated device enrollment, goes right to their door.
And can you use MUT to update the warranty date in purchasing information instead of using an extension attribute?
You could totally do that. The only reason I have the extension attribute is because for me, the big thing that I wanted was not just warranty information, but I wanted to refresh. I wanted to know who was ready for it. And the way that I had it set up and what I was trying to find out, I couldn't get that information unless I had the extension attribute, because the operator is exclusive to extension attributes.
Does the warranty data or extension attribute persist if you don't delete the device record from Jamf, but just wipe and rebuild?
I would think so, because it stays in there, but I feel like you'll also probably encounter some other issues, like the computer thinking that it's run some policies already when in fact it hasn't. I'm sure you could try. It's something that would be worth testing, but I think it might open up another can of worms.
For machines out of warranty, but before the refresh cycle, how are you completing any repairs that need to be completed currently?
So like I mentioned, we're fully remote. So in the event that somebody needs a repair, whether they're in or out of warranty, I kind of handle it the same way, although that might change depending on like what's wrong. But normally I'll like reach out to them either on Slack or via the phone, and I'll help them set up an appointment at the local Apple store. Sometimes I'll actually just file the repair myself and have the AppleCare send them a box directly, and then all they have to do is drop it in there. And then depending on how long it's going to take to get fixed, we'll get them a loaner or something like that.
And now that you have your existing data filled in, are you using the website for your individual new Macs going forward, or are you still working with Apple Business for every new Mac?
Well, luckily is like once you have all that information in there, like you've got all that data. It's in Jamf once you complete it. So a lot of your work is done. Then it really just becomes about maintenance. So for me, the only times that I don't have to bother the Apple Business team after that first ask. It really just becomes about adding additional machines, which I could either check on like a one-off like basis myself, or when people leave the organization, making sure I capture that warranty information. And then because I hold some devices like in my home office, I have a list of all the machines that I have on hand, and in that spreadsheet, I have a section for warranty information. So when it gets re-enrolled in Jamf, I plop it in there. Like I said, there is some manual work, but for me, it's worth the work.
Perfect. And then we just have a note from someone in the audience that says that the Apple Store likely used a computer app called Mobile Genius to look up the warranty status.
Yeah.
So it could be very manual work for somebody at the Apple Store.
Could be, absolutely.
Which you may run into issues depending on how helpful your business team is, which I think was addressed in your presentation as well. Yep. So awesome. That's all the questions we have. So we'll hang on for maybe 10 more seconds in case anyone has a last burning question. All right, awesome. That's everything. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you, guys.